Okay, now we're going. All right, welcome to Pardon the Dust. I'm Steve. This is Brian. I'm laughing because we've been filming the same episode that we're breaking up because we listened to you guys, and this will be the next little segment.
We said, hey, let's do like 5 or 10-minute segments, and then we just did a 25-minute
We
segment.
did. We broke our own rules. Forgive
We're
us.
listening to you guys. We just haven't figured it out yet.
If you guys haven't noticed, we will talk a lot and ramble and go on and on. But yeah, it's just so fascinating. And then once you start talking about it, it's hard to stop talking about it because it's so deep, and then it just keeps going. You just go down that rabbit hole,
Maybe we should have called it Pardon the AD Dust,
right?
the ADD, kind of things. But yeah,
Oh man, yeah. Because now we're into Ruth, which was a short book, but I really did enjoy that one. That was a good book.
Ruth's an awesome book.
Now, am I wrong? Is this the only book that doesn't actually talk about God? Right?
You are wrong.
I am. No, you're right. Yeah, I'm wrong. Yeah, yeah. You're right.
But you're right. There is a book that does not mention God in the Bible.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
the Bible, there's one book, and it is a woman's name that does not mention God.
yeah. I thought that was this book the whole time reading. I'm like, what? Wait, where's this? Is not right. But Ruth was good, and so Ruth is her husband dies,
Yes.
and then she's with the mother, right? And then there was two daughters, two daughter-in-laws,
Right.
and then both their husbands died, and then the mother-in-law, her husband was dead, and so she said, "I'm going back home."
Correct.
And the one daughter-in-law went back to her people,
Yes.
and Ruth said, "No, I'm going to stay with you." And then, where'd they go? What was the name of where they're from? What were they?
Ruth was a Moabite.
She was a Moabite.
Mhm.
And but they didn't go there, did they?
No, when they went back home, they crossed back over the Jordan River into Israel, and they went back to Bethlehem.
Ah, that's right, Bethlehem. I remember that because I was like, "Hey, that's where Jesus was born."
There you go.
Which that town gets mentioned quite a bit.
Well, here,
Well, and uh, wasn't it? It was in Judges, I thought. Pretty sure. I know for sure it was in Samuel.
they may have,
They
yeah, may have. Well, and here's part of the reason why, because Samuel introduces
David,
David.
who is directly related to David, the father or the husband. It's really confusing.
Yeah,
That's
right.
that's a whole lot to unpack right there. That's really, but
the story of Ruth, in a nutshell, Ruth, a Moabite, she ends up meeting Boaz, who's
right.
called a kinsman redeemer, and so Boaz marries Ruth, and they have a child who his name is Jesse, and he gives birth to David. He doesn't give birth; his wife.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yes, they have David. David is in the lineage of Jesus,
Right.
so that means Ruth and Boaz are in the lineage of Jesus. So in Jesus, when Mary's pregnant with Jesus, and they said, "Oh, there's a census, and they have to go to their hometown," where do they go? Bethlehem,
Oh, okay.
because
Back to Bethlehem again.
because this is where Ruth and Boaz are from, and so this is the hometown, considered the hometown.
Did you go to Bethlehem?
Did I go to Bethlehem? I
feel like that's a big moment. You would know, right?
did. Yeah,
You did. Okay. Was it cool?
You know why? Because when you go to Israel, a lot of those places, like the birth of Jesus, it's considered a sacred site, and so years and years ago, people built churches on them.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
So you're not standing in a spot, and it doesn't look anything like what
Fair enough.
where Mary and Joseph would have had them. You're not standing in a stable or anything like that. You're standing in this huge ornate church.
So it's not. I just yeah. Why? Why didn't they just like?
Well, they venerate spots, and they
They
want
put
to
up a church.
acknowledge that. Yeah, which in and of itself, it's not wrong, but I think that sometimes we can venerate spots and things a little too much.
I'm fighting off a sneeze here.
Go ahead. You let
No,
it
I
rip.
think we're good.
Okay.
I think I fought it off.
Okay. Say watermelon, watermelon, watermelon.
Does that work?
Well, if somebody else says it, it's supposed to work. You didn't sneeze, so I guess so.
Something happened.
Also heard if you push your tongue against the roof of your mouth, it'll keep you from sneezing.
Try that one. I know that works with a brain freeze.
Uh,
Yeah.
that's nothing worth. Nothing worse. Man,
So-
where? Bethlehem.
yeah.
So, yeah. So, okay, again, off script ADD, but there's a period of time when they're wandering in the desert, and snakes come out and start biting everyone. And so God tells Abraham, make a bronze snake, put it on a standard on a pole, and raise it up, and then people will look to that, and they'll be healed from the poison.
Was that Abraham?
No, Moses.
Yeah. You
Did I
said it.
say
Yeah, you
Abraham?
did. You
See,
did.
good
I
catch.
was like,
I
wait
was
a
testing
minute.
you there.
I'm learning
There you
things.
go. Good, good. Um, so so they did that, and then when that happened, they were like, "Oh, this is so amazing!" And so they keep this snake on a pole, and they start worshiping the snake
Right.
on a pole. And later on, we see it is called Nehushtan, and one of the kings ends up destroying it because it had become a cultic worship thing, which we're sometimes in danger of doing with sacred spots. So if you walk into the church at Bethlehem,
Right.
first of all, the thing I do like about it, it's got a door that's about this high. So in order to walk into the church, you have to bow. It's called
Oh,
it's called the humility door.
there's not hobbits running around. It's just
There's not, no, not that I'm aware of, but you have to bow in order to enter it, and it's just the way that they're wanting people to show respect to God. Now, again, this is a location,
right.
but you go in, you wait in a long line, then you get to the spot, and there's a altar with candles and gold and brass and plaques and pictures of saints and everything everywhere. And then there's a star on the floor, this marble floor. There's a bronze or gold star on the floor. And they said that's where Jesus was born.
Oh, that's probably like a total guesstimation.
Yeah. And it's, yeah.
How would they know? Man, we are getting so far off topic. But I mean, that's I mean, like, how would they know? I mean, there was before they built that church, it was thousands of years before that, probably, or maybe at least hundreds, or I would
Yeah.
imagine.
Part of it was, now I'm going to try to remember, you go all the way back into the Roman Empire, and with Constantine, his mother wanted to track down these places that were important in Jesus's life, and she wanted to um, venerate those places. And
Okay.
so some of it is through, and I couldn't tell you off the top of my head if she's the one who found this location or if somebody else did. But typically, what happens is that early on in Christianity, they find these spots, and they begin worshiping there or build churches there. And so it kind of just passes on. We assume that some people assume that the people who first built the church, they knew.
I feel like building a church over top of it kind of destroys the
I don't like it. When I go to Israel, I don't like visiting churches. I feel like because you don't get the feel of what it was like.
right.
I've sat in caves near Bethlehem
That'd be cool.
and tell the story, and that's much cooler to me.
That would be really cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait till we can actually go there again. I'm excited. I think we're really going to try to go.
Yeah.
Um, Back to the topic here.
Yep.
So
Bethlehem.
Ruth
Ruth.
from Bethlehem.
Yes.
No, they go to Bethlehem.
They go to Bethlehem.
They go to
Ruth
Bethlehem.
is a Moabite, which is
Right.
important. She's a foreigner.
Am I the only one that gets these names stuck in your head?
No,
Like stuck. Like
everybody.
yeah, there's just certain names that I will literally randomly repeat them in my head just throughout the day, and I'm like, that's such a cool name.
Like Ruth or Moabite.
Moabite, there's I mean, there's all kinds. Like each book, I'll just pick one. And I'm
There
like,
you go.
That's the one.
There you go.
But yeah, so she's you said the word at church, and then it says it where they go out through the fields and
Glean.
glean. So she's gleaning. She's getting her stuff in. And what did she do though that won her such favor with him?
So, well, there's a law in the Torah that says that when you harvest your fields, leave the corners of your fields, and so that people who are in need can come out and eat from the corner of your fields. So this is what Ruth is doing. She tells her mother-in-law Naomi, and her Naomi says, "Oh, go to this field. He's a relative."
Mm-hmm.
So she goes to this field and is gleaning, and happens to meet Boaz, and he's just a nice man. He's felt like I peed my pants there for a second. I remembered your dog peed on me.
Somebody peed your pants for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a puppy, man.
I know he's a puppy. Yeah. I was holding the puppy. I scared the puppy. Then the puppy peed on me. But
It happens.
it does.
I can get you new pants.
No. I'm good. I'm good. I just shocked me for a second there.
Like,
I forgot.
who peed in my pants?
I know, right? I was like, oh man. Where were we?
He's family. She's
so
gleaning his field.
and so he was just kind, and he told her yes, glean, and then he actually got her, just told his workers leave her alone, let her
Right.
glean. So I think that there was just an aspect that he was a very kind person, and then when she goes back and tells Naomi, "Oh, I met Boaz," and she said, "Oh, he's a kinsman redeemer. He's the next in line who should marry you." So a kinsman redeemer is somebody who's in the family.
Mm-mm.
And so at that time in history, when a woman was widowed, she really stood a life of poverty because they were supported by the men. So that was supposed to be the responsibility of the next closest kin to bring her in and marry her to support her. And so she's not living in poverty.
Okay.
Okay. So she goes to Boaz. Boaz falls asleep. The text says she uncovered his feet.
Yeah. I had questions about this.
Okay.
I don't know what's happened.
Whoa.
Where did it all go?
Is all that going to be recorded?
Yeah.
That was like, what was that? That was
somebody
Tom Sawyer?
FaceTiming. Yeah, that was Tom Sawyer. Yes, it was. That was Tom Sawyer. Somebody was FaceTiming me.
Look, we're 20 minutes in again already.
No.
I don't think we can do short ones.
We're gonna give it all we got to do it.
Okay.
We'll cut out the parts where we're laughing.
No,
we're not.
Yeah, that's a lot of editing.
So she lays at his feet. Why his feet?
Why his feet? So
why'd she uncover him? Wouldn't he get cold? I'd get cold.
Yeah. So here's the thing. There is a Hebrew idiom, okay, figure of speech in Hebrew about uncovering his feet. Odds are, what she actually did was uncovered his genitals.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
But that's not done as a sexual thing. Okay. Because when he wakes up, his response was, "Oh, I'm supposed to take you as my wife," or something along those lines. I'd go back and look at that. But there's a realization as soon as he wakes up, and it's not, doesn't have anything to do with his feet.
Right.
What she's doing is reminding him of his covenant with God, which is evidenced through circumcision, that you are supposed to take her as a wife. You're
Right.
supposed to redeem her. So she's just reminding him,
okay,
that he's a Jew,
all right,
and that he's committed to God. So again, it wasn't a sexual thing.
But then they have to go to another man, and off like.
Yeah, it turned out there was one person who was closer in a relationship.
Right.
So Boaz went to him and said, "Hey, do you want to take her as your wife?" And he said no. And so Boaz says, "I'll do that." They exchange shoes.
Yeah,
at the
shoes.
Gate.
Yeah, they swapped shoes, and he gave up his portion of his inheritance at that point, right? Because that's what they were referring to. And I was like, hey, we talked about that back in Leviticus, was it?
Probably.
Yeah, it was probably Leviticus back there, Leviticus or Numbers, and they were talking about that. And I was like, hey, I remember that part. So yeah, so he got so he said no. So then she marries Boaz.
So she marries Boaz.
Yep.
So they go to the gate. So many times in Scripture, when they talk about the entrance to a city, it's literally the gate to the city.
Right.
Because in the gate is where you do all of your court work. They typically had a small temple there. They had a representative of the king of that city or the leader of that city. They had provisions for those who lived outside of the city. All kinds of things took place in the gate.
Right. Okay.
So he makes a legal covenant in the gate, and then he exchanges or takes off his shoe in order to symbolize that.
Does he get his shoe back?
I'm sure he does. Now, what the shoe is doing is hearkening back. Most likely, it's hearkening back to the covenant that Abraham made with God.
when God walked through the blood of the animals.
Right.
Yep.
So it was a common way to make a covenant with somebody, that you cut animals in half, then you take your shoes off and you walk through the blood. So apparently by Boaz's time, we're just going to do this symbolically. I'll take
Well,
my shoe
yeah.
off, and then we understand. Oh, we're making a covenant.
Yeah, because who wants to cut an animal in half all the time? Every time you make a deal, pretty gruesome.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of blood. Man, they're still. I'm almost accustomed to it now, but man, they are just sacrificing things left and right. Everything gets chopped up. Uh, so they make their deal. They enter into it, so they get married, and then she just lives happily ever after.
Well, we don't get a whole lot. Yeah, we hear that they get married and they have children, and it's a very short book.
It
What,
was.
4 chapters?
Yeah, it wasn't much, and it
4
just kind
chapters.
of leaves you just kind of ends.
Yeah, and it just says that. Um, let's see. Oh, it's sort of the generation. So Naomi took the child and laid him in her lap. Um, Yeah, Boaz took Ruth and became his wife, and he went into her, and the Lord enabled her to conceive, and she gave birth to a son. The woman said to Naomi, "Blessed is the Lord who has not left you without a redeemer today. May his name become famous in Israel, and may he also be to you a restorer of life and a sustainer of your old age for your daughter in law, who loves you and is better to you than 7 sons had given her birth to him." Naomi took the child, laid him on her lap, became his nurse. The neighbor woman gave him a name, saying, "A son has been born to Naomi," so they named him Obed.
Obed,
Obed is the father of Jesse.
who is the father of David.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah, I'm
David.
catching up. I'm getting it now. Man, it was the biggest struggle. The names, hands down, are the biggest struggle for me.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of names, a lot of back and forth, but I try to keep everything straight. But when you break it down that simply, yeah, it's kind of easy to follow, but it just flies through there. So
And again, that's a reminder that the whole Bible is that way, because this whole thing is one
one
story of
family.
one family.
Yeah.
So all these lineages that we get so bored of reading, it's telling us, oh, we're still in the same family,
Right.
all the way to Jesus.
So we go. I mean, pretty much that's it. And that's it.
That's
Yeah.
Ruth.
Ruth
Yeah,
was good. It was
that's
good
Ruth.
love. It was a good love story.
Bethlehem. You know what Bethlehem means?
No.
It's Beit, which just means house. So in Hebrew, Beit is house. Lechem is bread. So it's a house of bread.
Oh, why? Were there bakers there?
Yeah, obviously. Well, and then you see that them are gleaning fields, and so they probably used their wheat and their barley fields to make bread.
Huh.
So it's kind of like this is a bakery village,
Okay.
which is interesting because Jesus comes from there. Jesus is called the bread of life. So the bread of life was born in house of bread.
In the house. So everything's just so connected. It really is. Everything just circles back.
Yep.
So well, just like that book ends, we're gonna end this segment there.
All right.
And that takes us out. There's no way we're gonna be able to edit this out. It's just gonna be this weird Now we'll figure it out. So